Welcome. Those of you who are coming in, come on in. Those of you that are logging on, you just missed Ken's tattoo. I don't know if he's going to show it. Show it a second time. He just showed it to the class. Snuggle up to the person next to you and say, "This isn't personal. I'm not trying to sexually harass you. I just need body heat." This will keep you all awake and alert during my teaching this morning. Come on in. I hope nobody forgot and came here last week, but we were not here. We were down on St. Simon's. And these two, since you saw them, have already been... Tell me again where you just went?
Roatan.
I don't even know where Roatan is. It's an island?
It's an island on the northern coast of Honduras.
And they go around the world and scuba dive. And they're so unassuming. They're so quiet and unassuming, and they live this and about to leave for the Canadian Rockies, but they worked in a trip to Atlanta, and we appreciate it. How do you know when you go to a place like that? How do you find where you're going to dive? Do you know it ahead of time before you go there? Okay, so it's all set up. Wow. Why that place? Is there like a coral reef or something, or?
Yes. It's one of the biggest reefs in the world.
So you can swim right up to them, you just can't touch them, right?
Right.
It's one of the biggest reefs where?
In the world.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. See, we have learned something here today. You should bring pictures and show us, because it's really cool. Like one time it was something we had to cancel this, and I was trying to think of everybody that actually comes on Sundays. And so I texted Jeff and I said, "Hey, I don't know if you got the message, but we're not going to be at the theater tomorrow." He said, "We're in Fiji." I'm like, "Oh, well, I guess it's a non-issue for you." Never mind. Anyway, we express gratitude, Spirit of God, Mother God, Father God, Universe God, the great God, the I Am, the God that we know, revealed to us through Jesus and by the Holy Spirit. But we also know you are the God who is bigger than dogma or doctrine or religion or even our finite understanding. We honor the I Am, and we honor the I Amness of the I Am today. And we express gratitude to that higher power that has blessed us and brought about so many miracles. We thank you for the beautiful people assembled in this theater today. There's no day exactly like today. Today is unique. Today is unprecedented. And we enter your gates with thanksgiving and into your courts with praise. Amen. Please remain standing. Let's do the Lord's Prayer, if you will. Oh, cute. What are those, Michelle? Birds? Is that significant, like three little birds, like the Bob Marley song? Or is it... All right. It looks like what? That's a name for a bird? Bee eaters? Yeah. See, this is like being in a science class today. Really, y'all come in.
It's an owl.
It's what?
An owl.
It's not an owl. Our Father, who art in heaven, presence of divine love and light that lives within us and within all of life, hallowed be thy name. We invoke the powerful creative nature of all that is sacred and holy. Thy kingdom come. We embrace the healing essence that is the kingdom of heaven within us. Thy will be done. We accept our greatest good as we align with our divine nature, on earth as it is in heaven, knowing that the affairs of our lives reflect our evolving consciousness. Give us this day our daily bread. Each day we receive great blessings from within and throughout all the activities of our lives. And forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. We accept the divine nature of all things and all people, including ourselves, as we move away from judgment and toward greater awareness of divine presence. And lead us not into temptation. We shall be vigilant in expressing and experiencing the oneness with all life. but deliver us from evil as we are learning to live without fault-finding and suffering. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. For we accept the consciousness of divine perfection with all its power and glory right here, right now, and forever. Amen. And so it is. Tell the person next to you, there's nobody I'd rather sit next to you than you, and I really mean it. And then you may be seated. Glad you guys are here today. Glad to have Dr. Sheila with us today. And I'm going to mention her in a minute. My friend that was my high school teacher that I'm still friends with, she's run the Peachtree for years. So I had just sent her pictures of the quilt you made. She was impressed. She said, how do you get something like that? I said, you have to have a Dr. Sheila in your life. It just can't be for anybody. Can't just be for anybody. Let's see, where do I start with everything I want to say? I didn't tell you, we didn't do an outreach. I forgot to tell you. I forgot that an outreach for August. I'll think of something. We'll do it by next week. We're good for it. What is it?
World Central Kitchen.
Avery says the World Central Kitchen. Quick, a picture of that. Come on, Michelle, try to keep up. Okay, we'll go with that. Meditation Weekend 26 was amazing. And, it was interesting because I was just telling BJ that, I love when people, I'll show you some pictures in a minute, but I love when you write reviews of, I always use them for quotes and stuff. It's a good energy builder. And so I was surprised to see Robert Rutherford was there. Also, let me also remember, forgot to announce, will be August 31st, which is what, 3 weeks from today? We'll be in, that too. Too much in my head. Upcoming events. We'll be at the Movement, August 31st. Then, that one with the picture I don't like. And then Meditation Weekend number 27. We've already got a good people. Hi, bro. We're going. We went to Blue Ridge before, but we've never been in the fall. We went there in January and it was freezing. So Blue Ridge we're going to be in Blue Ridge October 25th and 26th. And this is what I'd like to put out there that I'd like to happen. Blue Ridge has this really cool train ride. It goes from there to I think to Deep. Is it to Deep Creek? It's Tennessee
Georgia border.
It takes 4 hours altogether. It's 2 hours there, and they let you out, and you go shop, and then you drive back. And I would really, I would love for us to be able to do that. For anybody that's there on that Saturday, it would be cool. That's why I posted a picture of a train going, because that's actually a picture of the train going through the foliage. So yes. Now. So with number 26, I want to read this before I talk about it a little bit, because Rutherford was there, Robert Rutherford. It surprised me. And it was very meaningful because my friend Howie was there too, and they were my two oldest friends. And they have only met each other once, 7 years ago at my 60th birthday. So it was cool to have them both there, and they both connected, and it was good. It was just like my worlds all coming together. What? Freddie was throwing them back that Friday night. And we were like, Miss Raj, you got to, hey, come here. You got to cut him off. I knew you were trying to get out of the picture. So anyway, Robert wrote something kind of funny and silly sounding. And I was like, that's not the review that I want. And I even wrote him a message like, that's cute, but please write something. I want to hear your feedback. And then I deleted it because it sounded like I was upset, and I wasn't. So this morning I noticed he actually did write one, and it was really good. And it kind of describes, I think, the way everything worked. He says, I love you all. You are my tribe. You are my family. Any morsel I was able to bring to the table, I couldn't compare with the continuous feast of love. You all fed my soul. The reason he said that is Robert, he hadn't kind of operated in the gifts of the Spirit in a long time, and I sort of made that demand on him, and it was very cool. But I'll tell you about that in a minute. He says, in life we come to crossroads that become milestones, turning points. Number 26 will forever be etched in my heart. The faces of you precious folks on my mind, the song of the Spirit blowing through the changes of my mind. The voice of truth spoke loudly to my life, and I am just now beginning to process it all. And this is why I wanted to read this before I show you the pictures. It wasn't one of those powerful, stupendously earth-shaking storms. It was a steady, gentle shower, the kind that saturates and nourishes and grows the hidden seed of life within us. Joy, peace, and love to you all. The reason I wanted to read that is we got there, everything was beautiful Friday night. Saturday, we had some rain. And this is the way I feel about, I hate when we're doing an outdoor thing and it rains. However, rain is like a natural phenomenon, you know? And, when Jesus rebuked the storm, he just said, peace be still. It's like, I've had some good results with speaking to the weather, but I also am in awe of the weather. I mean, it's Mother Nature. It's like, don't just boss that around so much. So, Wednesday afternoon, it was quite a downpour. And I thought, I've got to come up with a plan B. Of course, everybody around me, I was with Howie and Ken, they're like, you're going to be fine, you'll have a miracle. I'm like, that's easy for y'all to say, y'all don't feel the responsibility of it. I'm the one that I chose this weekend, and everybody's spent money to come down here. I don't want it to be rained out. And so I actually, when we were there before, we had to go under a shelter. And I wasn't expecting to have to do that in August. Usually springtime that's always a possibility. Anyway, I went by that place where we were before that was like an upper room. I went there and it was packed with kids, and there was a counselor there. I said, do y'all have this place scheduled for tonight? He's like, yes. I said, oh, okay, I'm just asking. So I'm like, okay, I'm sure it'll work out, but it's like 5 o'clock. I need to give people some direction for tonight. And Tricia had already told me about a hotel that they were staying. Lisa was staying there too. And when both of them checked in, when you check in, they'll always ask you, what are you in town for? And when they said meditation weekend, this guy at the counter said, oh, that sounds really good. I'd like to be a part of it, which same thing happened to me. I stayed at a place in the first night I was there, and the girl said the same thing when I checked in. And I said, here's a link. It's free of charge. You're welcome to come if you want to. Anyway, Tricia said, it was like a ram in the thicket. It was Jehovah Jireh, because I thought, I got to come up with something. And, you don't just walk into strange places and spring it on them. Can I have a meeting, a public meeting with 30 or so people? And, they don't know who you are. You got to sign releases for insurance purposes. And, there's a whole thing to it. And so Tricia sent me these pictures and said, this place is available at the hotel if you, and I was like, heck yeah, I'll be right over. And the thing is, first of all, it was fortuitous that it happened, because the way the vibe was Friday night, I don't think we could have done that out on the beach. There was a lot of words of knowledge. It was very sort of intimate. I did, Ed, who had commissioned a painting for Howie, and I did that, and I had to explain what that was. It was just the kind of thing that needed to be done indoors. Yeah. And it was in an upper room. It just was. And it felt very upper roomish. So I certainly appreciate Tricia being, what's the thing that Paul said? He talked about the body of Christ, that we're members in particular, but there's ligaments that join the thing. And you were right on time. And it's not just that the facility was great, but the guy who was in charge of it was great. Because if you don't have somebody that's really kind of in your flow, it can be miserable. Because we went well past the time that I said, we'll be out of here by whatever I told him. And we went like an extra 2 hours. And he was like totally laid back, was even trying to find us a place to eat afterwards. And that it wasn't just the facility was great, but he was great. It made the whole experience great. People make or break a situation. So we went, it was a beautiful boutique hotel we went to, and so we were in an upper room. I don't know whatever pictures you got. So that Ed came down from Knoxville. There's Jerry. Christy flew in from Texas. The Brocks came up from Columbus. There's Howie. There's Rutherford. It was just a cool place, and it was just wonderful. We just had a wonderful evening. I mean, I'm just looking at it right now. I'm feeling the effects of it. And Avery, because it was our 11th anniversary, she wanted to do something special, and they brought. She said those rocks are really heavy, so I appreciate bringing them in. And everybody got to write a word on there that was significant. And I love when there's a takeaway thing. So shout out to Avery for being. I mean, it was the Christ all working together. Everybody plays a part. Like when the scripture says, when you come together, one has a tongue, one has an interpretation. And that was, you can't see all that, but it was a timeline. It starts with the Paraguayan flag, and then it's the apartment we had, and then the Lady album is what we first bonded over, and the blackboard was the 30 years he taught in school, and then that's the books he wrote, and then that's the place he bought in Blairsville, and that's his blog, which, by the way, a guy in India just bought his blog and made him an offer he couldn't refuse. I was like, when he told me that, because, you have to have a place on the, I was like, Hallie, I don't think you have any choice but to sell that. Let's see if he wants to buy my blog. And then you can't see the way the glare's on it, but that on the far right was the logo for the Camino. Yeah, the Camino de Santiago. So it starts in Paraguay and ends in Spain. And it was great. It was great. And Spirit really uses Ed. This is the 12th painting he's commissioned. They've all been, if not miraculous, at least miracle adjacent. But now Friday night was great, but I needed to actually touch the sand. So I'm like, okay, I need it not to rain Sunday morning. I mean, so I'm good with Friday night. Spirit overrode us, and everybody's prophesying rainbows and stuff. We've seen lots of rainbows. This was different. This was more a zephyr. It was a gentle breeze from the west. So Sunday morning, thank the Jesus, it was not raining. And I was so happy. And it's the first time, usually we have a much smaller group that comes on the Sunday morning. And everybody except the Brocks, they don't usually they don't ever come to the early one. That's their journey. But everybody else came. And so what we ended up with in the circle was actually 26 people on the 26th meditation weekend. It was just very significant, and it wasn't the most beautiful sunrise I've ever seen, but it was wonderful, and we just had a great time. And we were the rainbows, we were the sun. It was wonderful. Those energy circles are everything. And Janelle came down from is it North Carolina? Is that where she's from? And it's just it was just great. And I'm so happy with it. And that's the first trip that Eddie's taken just with his daughter, just the two of them. They didn't kill each other, so they were happy about that. And anyway, I'm so happy with it. Thank you for everybody that was a part of the miracle, and it was all good. So BJ was concerned that he didn't have time to put together a video like he normally does because he was really slammed. I said, you know what? This one was different. There weren't spectacular things to photograph like there normally is, but it was just as wonderful as every other one. And I just loved it. And if you've never gone to these, you really should. And if you used to go to them, you don't go anymore, I'm concerned with you. That's why I keep posting old pictures. Like, here's all the nation of people who have ghosted me who used to come to these. So there's that. But anyway, I was super happy with that. St. Simon's is wonderful. And I'm sure number 27 up in, because I was going to stop these at 25. I told Avery a year ago, I said, I'm going to do 10 years at Metron. I'm going to retire. And then the 25th will be that's why Christy came from Texas, because she said, oh my God, it's on my bucket list to go. You're thinking about ending these? I got to go to one. So she flew in from, and flew into Jacksonville. What? Oh, I thought you said something. Okay. Let me tell you this thing that just happened, and this is, I think you know me well enough to know why this is super. I just found out about this when I was driving in. All right. So you know my, I can't make myself call her Louisa, but my friend who was my teacher in high school. All right, while we were gone, they go every year. They've been going for years. They have an only son. I've never even met him. He's like 30-something. He and his wife live in Washington, D.C. It's been so long since I've seen them that the last, I brought them a baby gift for him when he was born. It was baby Calvin Klein jeans, and she said he wore them. But I've never met him. He's got 2 little boys. I've never met them. Because, there was a huge gap in all the years that, we didn't have any contact. So, she's had 2 heart attacks. And going to Cumberland Island, it's right next to St. Simon's, but it's a totally different thing. There's nothing on Cumberland Island. It's like nothing. There's no paved roads. There's no store. There's nothing. There's like cabins you can rent, but you have to take a ferry there. You don't have cars. It's completely primitive. That's where, remember when John Kennedy Jr. got married and they kept it a secret? It was on Cumberland Island. So they've been going for years, and her cardiologists were like, you can't it's too dangerous. You can't, if you went there and something happened, there'd be no way to even life flight you from there. You've got to wait till the next day for the ferry to take you. And so what I had advised, I said, I think wisdom is at least tell your cardiologist, I'm not asking for your blessing. I just need to tell you we are going. Because she said, I just don't want to cancel this. And I told him remember a few years ago when Ken hadn't had his gallbladder surgery yet, and he was having, when a gallbladder thing would attack him, he'd be like in the floor. And we were going to one of the, whatever number it was, and he said, I don't know if I should go. I said, I can't, of course I want you to go, but I can't, that's your journey. I can't force you to go, and then you get out there and go into a seizure, and I'm like, I should have left it alone. Remember I told you he said, I'm going to go take a shower, and he came out and he said, I'm just going to close my eyes and go. And he did, and it was fine, and he had the surgery, it was fine. So I told Louisa that, and I said, why don't you just tell your cardiologist, this is what we're doing. If God forbid something happened, what should we do? Should we try to go to Brunswick? She said, I think that's wisdom. She said, how did you learn? How did you get this smart? I said, I've been doing this for years. I'm not the kid you knew in 10th grade. You have no idea who I am. So they went, but I hadn't heard from them. And it wasn't that I was worried, but I was just like, they were there 2 weeks. I'm like, I need to know. Did y'all get back okay? I just need to know. Because she didn't go on the island and you had to bury her at sea. I'd like to know that. So I finally got in touch with her this week, and we talked a little bit, and she said, yeah, it was great. Her grandsons are 7 and 5. She said I didn't have any health issues. Everything was fine. Because when you go to Cumberland, you have to take all your food, everything. There's no store you can go to. It's a little too primitive for me. I think it's beautiful for a day trip, but at night, I'm like, they got Uber Eats here? I just need to go. I might need to go buy a bottle of water at the Walgreens. Is there something here? Nope. So, but that's what they love. she said the only negative thing that happened, her little 5-year-old grandson, Beck, she said he's had this stuffed animal. He calls it Dog, but it's actually an Easter bunny. He's had his entire life. And he doesn't go anywhere without it and can't go to sleep without it. You know, some of you have had kids that went through that. And he lost it somewhere on Cumberland Island or somewhere in the trip. And it's just like the worst thing that's ever happened. And, of course, the rest of the adults are going, walk it off, kids. You're 5. Life is full. You might as well get used to it now. And, you know, like, yeah, let's traumatize that child. He can work it out in therapy. No, they weren't really saying that. But, you know, it's like when a kid's 5, you're like, maybe it's time to tell them life's full of disappointments. And so she told me about it. I just felt sad, you know, that's too bad. So the next night, I'm in bed, and I sat up and I thought, because she said, I'm going to look around and try to find something to replace it. Because the boys are coming here this week. They came yesterday, and we're going to stay with them for a week. So she said, before he gets here, I'm going to try to find something. She said, but I don't even know. He's had this thing for years, and it's kind of raggedy, and I don't know where I'd even find something. So I'm laying in bed, and I just woke. It's like the Holy Spirit just said, hey, I got to tell you something. And I was like, what? And I thought, Olivia, who just started her sophomore year, years ago, I was keeping the girls, and she left some stuffed animal at my loft. It's probably before Ken and I met. It's just one of those things, I never threw it away. I don't have a lot of storage space. My loft is small, but I just remember over the years when I'd be looking for something in a box, it would be in there, and I think, and I can't remember what it was. Olivia collects sloths. That's her thing, so I assumed it was a sloth. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to drive to the loft and see. I'm going to find that sloth. Maybe they can improvise or something. It'll be, because it had a little wear and tear on it, and it'll be some significance because that's my granddaughter's. I'm giving to you for your grandson. So I drove to the loft and I looked everywhere for it. It's like, I must have thrown that away because it's been well over a decade. And I was about to leave, and again, Spirit said, go. There's a drawer thing I have that's got a bunch of ties in it that I don't wear anymore. And I heard the voice say, let's go look in that drawer. It wouldn't be in that drawer. That's my ties. I wouldn't have put it in there. Sure enough, it was. And when I pulled out what I thought was a sloth, it was a bunny rabbit. So I sent her the picture. I said, you're not going to believe this. And she said, oh my God, that's exactly what Dog looked like. So I know I got chills now. I was trying to tell BJ, I said, I'm going to start crying if I talk about this. So as I'm pulling in about 30 minutes ago, trying to parallel park here with everybody out there judging me, I texted her. I said, did your little guys arrive? And she said, yes. You're not going to believe it. Show, if you got the picture, Michelle. That's him. That's Beck. Doesn't he look like her? And she said, I said, how did you give it to him? She said, I just had it on the kitchen table. And he walked in and he goes, you found Dog. And she said, actually, it's not, but it's a friend of mine. And you have to understand, and she may be watching today. I hope she's not offended at this. But Louisa's not, whatever the opposite of woo-woo is, like she's super smart, super intellectual, one of the smartest people I've ever met. And even she's like, I can't believe this. I mean, it's just, and of all that I kept that thing for that many years, and it's not just that I went to a store and found it was like something that was special to me because it was my granddaughter's. And I told Christina about it yesterday. She said, oh my God, that's amazing. I said, I got to tell Olivia because I don't even know Olivia would even remember. It's been that many years. So when I saw his little face, I mean, I'm going to have to nearly put that in the finding my stuff off the bottom of the Deep River. I mean, it's nearly that amazing. Because when I sent her the picture, and I even went by their house, and I didn't think they were there, she says, did you knock on the door? I said, no, I should have knocked. I looked in, it was dark, and I said, I actually started to leave it on your porch, but I didn't know where to leave it. And she says, no, that's the rabbit. And I said, I'm coming back right now. And I went back over there. And it was just amazing. So that's one of my favorite things that just happened. And there is a God. Yes. And synchronicity is real. Yes, it is. And listen to the voice of the Spirit. Yes. You know? Because, I'm sound asleep. I thought, I've just some stuffed animal to love. So there you have it. All right. Was that everything I needed to say? Okay. Thanks for coming. Now, I'm going to change history this month with this series, just so you know. We're going to bend the universe this month. Welcome to the Metron Live podcast, coming to you from the Atlanta Theater in the beautiful Atlanta Kirkwood neighborhood. Metron people, please tell the podcast people that you appreciate that they're listening. We speak into this atmosphere and say, let there be light. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me to preach liberty to the captives. I have the tongue of the learned. The word is not bound. These people have no need that any man should teach them. They have an anointing and unction from the Holy One. They know all things. I am here to facilitate and remind them of what they already know. And I decree to everyone listening to this here, live, or on the podcast, or on YouTube, if it's 10, 20 years from now, whoever's listening to this, let that abide in you which you heard from the beginning. And so it is. All right. I'm taking my title from a verse of Scripture I have taught on many times before. I want you to try to hear it like you haven't heard it before, because I'm going to say some things I've never said before. The title is this, In a Beginning, Vibrating to Create the Reality You Want. All right. Possibly the most famous verse of Scripture that anybody that kind of grew up anywhere near a Bible is sort of aware of. Because, the Bible's a part of our culture. Even this week, down in St. Simon's, I opened the bedside table, and there's that Gideon Bible. I thought, boy, those Gideons, they have just, for better, for worse, they have been faithful to this project. I mean, there have been Gideon Bibles in drawers in hotels as long as I can remember. But the one that people are most familiar with, oh man, I'm already feeling the anointing. I haven't even started. I haven't even gotten to my point yet. Genesis 1:1 is the King James, and most of the translations are in the, T-H-E, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form and was void. You have a general knowledge of it. Michelle, put up that Hebrew grammar thing before I get to point number 2. Some interpretations of Genesis 1:1 suggest that the Hebrew phrase bereshit is better translated in a beginning rather than in the beginning, implying a broader concept of beginnings. This interpretation suggests the possibility of other beginnings before or after the ones described in Genesis. Now, let me show you Genesis 1:1 in the Concordant literal version, which is a really good translation. This is, here's New King James Version. All right. Genesis 1 through 3. All right. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, let there be light, and there was light. That's what you're familiar with. But I just showed you the better translation from Bereshit is not in the beginning, it's in a beginning. Let me show you out of the Concordant literal version. Genesis 1, verses 1 through 3. In a beginning, created by the Alueim. That's just a different way of spelling Elohim. Okay? Can anybody just give me a one-word definition of the word Elohim? Gods, plural. Okay? In a beginning, created by the gods. Now, once Abraham came along, Abraham became our first monotheist, and he said all those different gods are actually the same one. Bishop, which is it? It's both true. All right? In a beginning, created by the Elohim, or the Alueim, which is where Muslims get Allah. It's all that same. I'm telling you, you start traveling those roads, they all lead to God. Yep. I know I get kicked out of my Bible college for saying that. I've read John 14:6. I know Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. That's not what he actually said in the Greek. It's like he said, my I amness shows you the way. My I amness mirrored in you is the way. He wasn't trying to start Christianity. It's the most misquoted verse of Bible, in the misquoted verse in the Bible. Created by the Elohim, the Alueim, were the heavens and the earth, yet the earth became a chaos and vacant, and darkness was on the surface of the submerged chaos. Yet the spirit of the Alueim, and in the Hebrew there's not past tense, it's always now. It's present tense. When it got translated to English, it was the spirit was on the surface of the deep. What the Hebrew actually says is, yet the spirit of the Alueim is right now at 11:48 on Sunday, August 10th, the spirit of creation is, as I am saying these words, not was, is vibrating. You can't understand I am if you don't understand is. Am and is are the same verb. Again, I've said this to you many times, but it was reinforced to me this past Friday night. When Jesus said, this is my body, he was not talking about a piece of bread. He wasn't even saying, you group of men. He was saying, this thing that's happening right now, this unique thing that's happening in this upper room with people that I love is an is. It's a this. It's an am. Bishop, why are you reinforcing this? Because fundamentalists don't understand this. Most of religion and the divisions and the wars and the fundamentalism and the Christian nationalism and all the nonsense that we're dealing with right now comes from people not knowing how to conjugate a verb. There's a big difference between was and is. There's a big difference between that and this. This is my body. Many of you who went this past weekend talked about the conversations you would have when you would go out to eat together. You know what that was? It was a this. You could have said it every time. You could have said, this is my body. Even Friday night after we left, because the thing went on so long at the Simone Hotel, we were looking for a place to eat. The only place open was Waffle House. And it was a big group. I mean, it was like 5 booths of us in Waffle House. And I don't know if you've ever gone to Waffle House late at night. Sometimes you walk into the big crowd and you get some attitude back. Sometimes there'll be somebody who's ready to get off their shift, or they're like, you got to be kidding me. Really? Y'all are coming in right now? We went there, and how do I describe Renee? Renee is the very definition of ghetto fabulous. She was from the hood, and she was awesome. And she totally got us. She started messing with Ernie as soon as he walked in. Like she instinctively knew to bust his chops. And I'm like, this is amazing. I know it sounds silly, but it's like we're having this. This is my body. This woman doesn't know this group, but if we were all together, everybody's going to be giving him trouble. That's what you do. Everybody busts on Ernie. And we walk in, Bishop, was that holy? Yeah, it was a this. It was like, look at this unusual combination of people, very different people, black people, white people, crazy people, my people. I mean, it's unusual when you see us out together because we don't look like other groups. People can't even figure out what are y'all? Who are y'all? We can't tell them because we don't know what we are. We're manna in the wilderness. We don't know. We've been doing it for 40 years. Around Sinai, we don't know what we are. The longer I do it, the less I'm able to define it. Like, on the surface right now, it looks like I'm just standing in a little theater in Atlanta, just talking to a handful of people. I'm doing so much more than that right now. It's indescribable. You hear me? So, the Spirit is vibrating over the surface of the water, and saying is the Alueim, or the Elohim is saying, become light, and it is becoming light. All right. Let me tell you why this is important. If your thesis of your belief system, if it's based on the Bible, and you say in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, what you're saying is this is the way it is. It's concrete. It's finite. Don't argue with it. This is what is written. When you say in a beginning, it's saying here's one possibility of the way it could have happened. When Moses described the week of creation as we know it, the 6 days, he was just saying, he wasn't speaking as a scientist. Like all these people that want to argue about the earth being flat and the earth only being 6,000 years old and building creation museums with dinosaurs on Noah's Ark. I'm like, y'all need to understand the difference between the and a. That's why every Easter I always tell you that there's 4 Gospels and 4 complete different accounts of the resurrection. Why? Because it's a resurrection story. It's not the resurrection story. If you're the person, everything has parameters. And if people don't believe in your they got to go to hell. You hear me? If you say in a beginning or in a resurrection story, and somebody has a different take on it, you know what you can say? Namaste. That which is sacred in me honors that which is sacred in you. You don't even have to be wrong for me to be right. Guess what? How can we both be right? We can't both be right in the beginning. I'm not an I'm a the. My mama was a the. My grandmama was a the. All you people, all you people, y'all are all going to split hell wide open. Because those of us who partake of the, we know it's this way. The. Don't you tell me about your interpretation. Don't you tell me your take on it. You're wrong. Opens you up. In a beginning, well, tell me your version. What do you have to say? Oh, that's interesting. There might be some truth to it. It doesn't sound like what Big Mama said. Big Mama was kind of a the person. Big Mama didn't tolerate the people. Y'all hearing me? So what's that got to do with everyday life? That sounds good. That's cool and ethereal, but I'm dealing with crap right now in my life, and I can't really get excited about your weird take on articles of speech. Well, guess what? It's extremely pertinent to what you're going through right now. Because if you don't understand versus the, you'll never be able to call those things which are not as though they are. Come in. Welcome. Do you hear what I'm saying? If you're bound to the and don't allow you can't understand now faith is the evidence of things not seen. Because the is I got to see it to believe it. Says, well, I know it doesn't look like that, but it could be different. Which is why I want to talk about the word vibration. We throw that word around a lot. Nearly everyone in my hashtag, like if we eat out on Friday night, it's like Friday night vibes. I mean, I just use that word a lot. But what is it exactly? Even today I was in the car and was waiting for him to come down, and I Googled it, and it said something like, among other things, the vibration is, how did it say it? It's something is oscillating around a fixed thing. It's like it's vibrating. It's east and west. It's right and left. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's movement over something that's static. And everything is vibration. It's what Tesla said. It's what Einstein said. You know, if you ever studied physics, the fact that you can sit on that chair and it supports your body weight is amazing because there really is nothing solid in the world. It's all molecules that are vibrating very close together, and they become dense enough that you interpret it in the material world as something, with substance to it. But it doesn't really, everything is vibrating. Everything is. And if you don't understand vibration, you can't understand faith, you can't understand the power of words, you can't understand possibilities, you can't understand how things could change. The doesn't vibrate.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah. That's right.
You hear me?
Yeah.
The concrete hardens. It, I don't know, metastasize is not the word I'm looking for. It congeals. It solidifies. It hardens. It becomes static. This is doctrine. Calcifies. Yes. All of the above. Is alive. This is the. This is because it's living.
Right.
Let me show you this first quote. Kenneth Schmidt says this. The subject of quantum physics is identifying the smallest parts of an entity and understanding its nature and its part in the whole of existence. In every case, we come to the understanding that there is no objective world that we perceive except for the conceptions inside of our minds. We are all collectively dreaming together the empirical realm. We collectively hold the fundamental energies and the frequencies of the electromagnetic wave patterns that we perceive. The quality of our experience is created in our consciousness. Now, in quantum physics, what they say about the observer effect is that the unified quantum field has infinite potential. It's not really anything until you see it a certain way. And once you see it a certain way, your observance of that thing collapses into your reality. And for most people, once a reality becomes fixed, it can't be changed. Once someone has pledged allegiance to it's a challenge to get them to embrace the I. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because the is, well, I guess this is how I am. I guess this is the way things are. And you know what you connect with the way things are? You connect feelings. And feelings are very much vibrations. Ken was telling me just on the way here this morning, because he wanted to go by the hospital and thank them for how great they were a year ago, and that you just can't walk into that it's like their security is so tight there they just wouldn't let him up. And but the security guard said, "Well, for what it's worth, you look good." If that means anything, well. And I told him, I said, I didn't want to be negative, but I was concerned that might be. I said, furthermore, hospitals change so much, you can't assume that you go to that floor and those people are going to be there anyway. But, you gave it a shot. And he went to the place where they always have breakfast that, they love so much. And those people knew about it, and they were hugging him, so glad that he was okay. And so he did have some touchstones to see, this is where I was a year ago and where I am now. But he said, I got to tell you, when I drove by that hospital, I can't explain it, but I definitely had a strong feeling. I said, it's a vibration, because there was a lot of energy there. I mean, you feel things about things. You feel things about places. And you should pay attention to your feelings, because your feelings are vibrating until they calcify. And then they become an ism. When I was with Howie this week, we were talking about, he said, you know what? Because we were talking to Robert, and Robert's got that property out there. He said, you know what I would love more than anything in the entire world? I said, what? He said, I wish we could have like a Holy Spirit Pentecostal type camp meeting without the judgment and political, like the pure spirit, without it being like the controlled. And I said, well, you just spoke it into existence. And Robert said, just say when. I said, well, y'all have created something. At some point we'll be out there. And I knew what he was saying. The Pentecostalism I grew into was just a drag, man. But those people who had those real experiences early on, like even, a week ago when I drove back from St. Simon's, I thought, I need to go by the mom's side of the family cemetery is outside of Baxley, Georgia, in a place called Surrency. And my parents have graves there. And I still have my dad's ashes, because I told him before, when they decided they want to be cremated, I said, well, what I'll do is, whichever one of you goes first, I'll just keep your ashes. We sprinkle some of them at the prayer tower in Columbus for his service 5 years ago. But I said, whichever one of you goes first, I'll take your ashes down to the grave. Well, I'll inter them there. I'll take my kids down there. And he said, that's exactly what I want you to do. So he's, his ashes are in the bedroom next to where I sleep at night. And I'm like, whenever she goes, I'll take y'all both down there. But I hadn't been there in a while, and I don't know who's in charge of what, but I just had to kind of get a feel for it. Like, if she were to go right now, like, who do I call? Like, I know I'm related to these people. There were lots of Earls. Everybody's Earl something, Earl, And I'm like, wow, no wonder. But I just needed to kind of get an idea of what's good, because I've got to, whenever that does happen, they were supposed to put mom's grave right next to my grandmother's, and they got dad's next. So I got to switch those. I've got to have the death dates put. I mean, it's a lot to it, and I just wanted to get an idea, and I did. But driving up there, it still looks exactly like it did when I was growing up. My great-grandparents had a home place there. And right at the end of that lane that it's Earl Park Lane that bisects with Tourmaline Lane, which was it's like all my family, but I'm looking at it now, I'm like, dear Lord, if it's this rural now, what was it like in 1903? But it's not there now, but there was a little shack there. It's where they had little meetings, and my grandmother, Addie Mae, received the baptism of the Holy Spirit in, I want to say 1915 maybe. And it was considered very controversial. You know, that's before there were Pentecostal churches. It was like the Pentecostals, they didn't get lynched, but they got run out of town. And enough so that Granddaddy was going to preach one night at what they called a brush arbor, because those Pentecostals, they couldn't afford like places to meet, so they would make a little, called a brush arbor. And he was in a horse and buggy with my grandmother. My Aunt Myrtle was alive, and my Uncle Earl was a baby, and she was carrying. They were going to preach, and he looks out. It was like the Frankenstein movie where all the townspeople are there, like the men are there with torches, and they said, "You can't go. You gotta." He was going to run him out of town, and my granddaddy was just like a 5'7", little stocky guy. He got out of the buggy and just stood there, and the men started fighting with each other. And he watched while they just beat the living daylights out of each other. And he got in and some of them were unconscious, and he got in his buggy and went back and preached. And he went all over the world. He met the King of England, who was Queen Elizabeth's father, who was only on the throne shortly before, because when his brother abdicated the throne to Mary Wallace Simpson. I don't know if y'all watched The Crown, but all about that. And they were in the Caribbean for a meeting, and the king heard about my granddaddy and summoned him, wanted to know, he wanted to ask him about tithing. He said, how do you get people to give up 10% of their income? You know, I'm looking at this little lane. My granddaddy came from nothing. He only went to the 3rd grade, and he's like meeting with the King of England. And I'm looking at this little lane. I thought, this is where it all started. This is where they got baptized in the Holy Spirit, and speaking in tongues was considered really strange and like snake handling and stuff. That's my stock. That's where I came from. So I'm saying all that to say I still love all that part. I don't like what it became. By the time I came along, it was just conservatism, and now it's like a political party, and they're all, you know, those people I love so much are like in a political cult, and it's just like there's nothing about that I recognize. I mean, I remember the power of the Spirit and the gifts of the Spirit. I mean, we tapped last Friday night, you know, when Robert's moving in the gifts of the Spirit. It was like, that's familiar. I know what that is. You know what? That's real. That's still vibrating over the face of the deep. You hear me? Let me show you the next quote. Hold that thought, I'm getting to it. Alaric Hutchinson says this: when faced with contrast, take nothing personally and don't try to defend yourself. Defending oneself is a vibrational relative of guilt. People will think what they like. Do not feed fuel to the fire by reacting. Simply ask questions for clarity, and in response say, is that so? Take responsibility for the energy you brought to the situation. Acknowledge the illusions without attachment and move forward. Other people's opinions are none of your business. Remember that each person is on their own unique path, and the mirror of contrast you hold up to them may be exactly what is necessary for their conscious growth at that time. That's fine, Bishop. What the heck's that got to do with vibrating and is? And you're talking about Pentecostals? Like, where? You're all over the place. No. Come up here. Come up, have an out-of-body experience. Meet me up here, because I'm rearranging some things in the Spirit today. I'm rearranging the furniture. All right. So this whole thing about feeling, when you're in a situation, especially it's a difficult situation and you don't know when it's going to change, when it's going to get any better, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed, it's easy to feel hopeless, it's easy to think, well, this is the way it is. It's a the. My reality is fixed, calcified, hardened, cemented, gelled, and I'm stuck in it. Who knows how long? Anybody got a thing like that? So, I've been, my cousin Mark called me this week, who is my double first cousin. His mother is the sister of my mother, who was married to my dad's brother, like two brothers married two sisters. I always have to make that clear because when Mark and I were in school, we never understood why people didn't get this. They would say, how are you double first cousins? And we would say, brothers married sisters. And people would look at us like, what? It didn't occur to us till we were adults. Like, well, no, they weren't sibling. Two brothers married two sisters. When I was at the cemetery, I was looking at my grandparents, and my granddaddy's sister married my grandmother's brother. My mom has double first cousins. I'm telling you, Mark and I were adults one day, and I thought, no wonder people looked at us weird the way we were saying that. It sounded like incest. That's not what we were talking about. So he called me this week. I said, it's funny you called because I was just going to send you pictures of your dad's grave. I was just there. And he was telling me his mom's 7 years older than my mom. And he was telling me some of his nightmare stories. I said, I'm not going to have a peeing contest with you on this, but I win. I'm living with mine. So everything that you're telling me, that's fine that you had a moment, but you got in the car with your wife and left. I'm here. Every day. And it's not all horrible. Parts of it are enjoyable. And parts of it is like, I know this is TMI, but with LaDonna, because LaDonna's got both her parents. And sometimes we'll share. I've lived there 6 months. I've seen LaDonna once. Because she's got her hands full. You know, I got my hands full. But sometimes we'll text each other, and we have an acronym, HLOL. How long, O Lord? And when you're in a situation that's going on for a long time, and sometimes it's challenging and difficult, and you don't know when it, you know when the end of a school year is, or you know when, like you had pressure on your job, but you were tired. You know what I mean? Some people have a point like, well, it's going to be like this until this. But then other situations, you're just like, this could be open-ended. I mean, I was thinking about June Lockhart the other day. I was watching something about Lost in Space, and I thought, she's still alive. And I Googled her. Oh, yeah. Like 101 years old. I'm like, well. I may be here a minute. And it can feel overwhelming. And you just have to live in the now. Remember standing there months ago and opened that Bible, my dad's Bible, and it says, not for you to know the times and seasons, but you shall receive power. I thought of it. I think of it every day. So, yesterday, Christina's in town. Christina, she came in town, my daughter. I was hoping she'd be here today, but she probably couldn't work it out. She wanted to see Jonah's baby, and her other grandmother she's in hospice. I mean, she's been... So if you got the ones where she was smiling, yeah, look at that little. There was another one. Yeah, look at that little person. When I went in, I said, "Wave bye-bye to your mommy and daddy. You're going with Poppy." That was Monday night. I went over there. She's so sweet. She sleeps all through the night. She's got. Really has Sophie's sort of demeanor, and she's adorable. so her other grandmother has been in hospice. She's a year older than my mom. She's got lung cancer. Jared has been there. He has not left there since July 4th. He's been there taking care of his Nana, which is why, because he was supposed to stay with my mom while we went to St. Simon's, and he texted me last week and he said, I'm just not going to be able to do it. I can't, she can't get up out of a chair and walk by herself. And I said, thanks for giving me a heads up. I'll figure it out. Judah was even going to do it, which is unusual for him because it's not. Here's the thing about care. People are either natural caretakers or they're not. Ken took care of, I don't think Ren would watch this. It just is what it is. Ken took care of his mom. 6 years she had Alzheimer's. Ren came one night and helped me say, I can't do this. And the thing is, if you don't have siblings, you have no choice. But there's something like Jared's always like, my brothers need to step up. I'm like, you know what? They're going to do what they're going to do. I can't. Jonah's up with a baby. He's with it, but even Judah was going to do it. And he said, I would, but he had 2 events. He's like, I got 2 events, Friday and Saturday night. I can't get there till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I said, no, it's not going to work. So it turned out LaDonna's son and his wife came and stayed, and it was actually great. It was kind of fortuitous because I thought I'm good to know that. Because if somebody's having to sleep in my bed and, I got to show them where, it's like, I can't just hire somebody to come in. And so it was great. Mom actually said, she met me at the door with a list of complaints when I got back Sunday. But in the midst of it, I said, well, how did Naboth and Jasmine do? Oh, they were perfect. I said, thank you, Jesus. All right. So, with what I'm about to tell you, I'm not throwing her under the bus. I'm making a point about the versus and how your vibration can get you out of being stuck with a the and into an Y'all with me? So, there's a dynamic between mothers and daughters and grandmother. Like they're just, it's different. Like with my 3 sons, I don't think mom's ever expressed an opinion about what they wear, what they look. She's just doesn't. With Christina, she's highly opinionated. Did you see that post Christina did? You said, oh, Mom, I can't. She's a grown woman. Whatever picture she puts on there is what. If you've seen those tattoos on her, I'm like, she's a grown woman, Mom. She's mother of 3, twice divorced, 40 years old. I can't. She's on her own. So I picked up Christina from the airport Thursday night? Friday night. And this was cool. I hadn't been over to Jared's house. Jared's house is like 2 doors down from Eddie and Ava. But I hadn't been over there in months, probably since Christmas. And he hadn't finished decorating and everything. I hadn't been over. But while I was at Louisa's house this week, friends of theirs came in who were coming back from Cumberland Island. And the little boys had the skull of a boar with them that they had found. They were taken back with them. So I was telling them, I'm sitting at the table talking to them, I was telling them about when I shot a boar years ago, and I couldn't find a picture of it anywhere. And I said, I really did. I shot this boar, and I could, I'm not a hunter, but y'all have heard the story many times. When I took, because Christine was staying at Jared's house, when I walked in, he had decorated his house, and he's got my boar on his wall, and it just was kind of special to me. Like, I know it's an ugly pig, but it's like I don't have a lot of kind of guy kind of things that my boys are impressed with. You understand what I'm saying? They love that they grew up going to Broadway shows and stuff, but I didn't teach them how to play baseball and stuff. So the fact that I did something kind of alpha male-ish, and they think it's cool. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of special to me. And I text him, I said, Jared, I didn't know you had because it's been in storage. He sold his house in Cabbagetown years ago, and it's been in storage all these years. I don't even know if it's still around. So that was really sweet. This week's had a lot of synchronicity. So what's this? Friday, Christina texted me. She said, "I feel like I need to just go and see Nana. So because I don't want the weekend to get away from me, but I don't have a car, and Jonah thinks I shouldn't get in the traffic. But it was Jared's birthday Friday, and she said he's kind of sound bummed that I would. I said, follow your instincts. I said, just go. It'll be fine, and it was. So she went and had a really good visit with her. I don't know if it's gonna be the last time she sees her, but she had that. And that was good, and she got to spend plenty of time with the baby. She's flying out tomorrow. And then yesterday, we were trying to do plan, like she said, we're thinking about maybe, Sophie's got to go to a thing tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to help Jonah watch the baby, but maybe we're going to cook dinner, but we don't know yet. And they couldn't, and it's, I don't know if you have adult children that are trying to make, but it's like, there's only so much you can go, are we still doing that tonight? I'm not trying to micromanage you. I just need to know and sometimes adult children can interpret that as you're needling them. And I'm like, hey, I'm loosey-goosey like the rest of y'all, but I just need to know, because Ken's driving up from Daytona. I don't know what time he's going to get here, so I need to tell him, because if I'm in East Point, he's going to have to be here with there's just a lot of moving parts to my life. My life is a chessboard where I'm like, just tell me what we're doing. I'm fine with whatever. So yesterday, I had to go by the loft, and I was sitting there. Christina texted me, and she says, so what are you doing? I said, I'm at the loft. I said, what do you need? She said, I'm thinking I just need to go in and see Mimi. I don't know if this thing's going to come together tomorrow. I said, I'll come right now, and I'll get you, and I'll take you over there. Fine. So I go pick up Christina, and my daughter's beautiful. She's wearing a super short dress, which I don't care. I just know Mama's going to say something about that, and she and I are going to get into a thing later on in the day. I took that picture from that angle. Bishop, why are you telling us this? Because I'm making a point. Hang on. Was it last week I said, I'm sorry, I'm talking about my life. So everybody's like, you should always talk about your life. That's how we hang on. I'm like, okay. Not only does it bug me that Mom's opinionated about it, I'm also thinking, Mom, when we left the Church of God, those churches were on you all the time, thought your skirts were too short. They didn't like that you bleached your hair and you wore makeup. Like, you of all people ought to just be like, hey girl, you were her 50 years ago. Why are you being all Pentecostal on her? So she's got this short dress on and a sleeveless dress on. We got snake tattoos. We got all kind of stuff. Again, I don't care. Darlene disapproves. Normally I wouldn't care, but I live with Darlene. And I don't want to fight. I'm like, they're grown kids. They can do what they want to do. I don't care. If Christina's dancing in a club, it's like, go with God. Just like I can't. You know what I mean? It's like they're adults. So I go to Jonah's the other day, pick up Christina, and I'm looking at her. Just, your mind automatically thinks, this is going to be a problem. Mom's going to say something. We got lots of legs and lots of tattoos, and she ain't going to like any of it. And I'm going to have to deal with it later in the day. And I've already had lots of things with her. I don't want to, I'm like tired. I'm like, just have your opinions. There's Fox News. Go watch Fox News. Because it's on. Paul said I was given a thorn in the flesh that I might not be highly exalted. I hear Fox News all day. Sometimes there's a little bit of a break with TBN, but it's mostly Fox News. Y'all feeling me? So just for a minute, I thought, all right, let's go. Because I'm not going to say it, because if I say something, I can't. She's an adult. And you know what? I remember when we used to go to my grandmother's house, And Mom would say, I've cut my hair too short. I know she's going to say stuff about it. And she did. I don't know if does this relate. I don't know if this relates to any of y'all, but this is a generational thing, especially in Pentecostal churches. Women, it was a thing. And I just saw an interview this morning. The pastor where Pete Hegseth goes to church, his pastor is a Christian nationalist who thinks women should, not only should gay marriage be made illegal, it should be like if a man's living with a man, he can go to jail. He's wanting to take the vote away from women. Yeah. They're wanting to reverse the whatever amendment it is. Because he says women just should have babies. They're not supposed to vote. And just yesterday, the guy that's over the Pentagon he quoted that guy. So I'm very sensitive to what happens to women. And it's not just Pentecostal, it's Muslim. It's like the Abraham religions, like, the more Eastern religions had goddesses and that kind of stuff. But the Abrahamic ones, Christians, Muslims, and Jews, women just got it. They just got, it was bad. But this message was kind of gestating, and I thought, you know what? I need to just change the feeling about this. I need to change this vibration. Because the Spirit is vibrating over me. And whatever I say, it's going to come to pass. Do you understand? Yes. It wouldn't if I was a the, but I'm an a. So whatever I say becomes my reality. Every word I speak builds a house that I'm going to have to live in. So I didn't say anything. Christina and I had a great drive over. The traffic wasn't bad. We talked about movies. I'm super good friends with my boys, but I'm friends with her kind of in a different way. There's a way that I just relax and talk to her, and we had a really good talk the other night, and we were talking about people having issues. I said, if you ever have an issue with me, just tell me. She says, my only issue with you is you don't call more. I wish you would call more. I said, you know what? Thanks for telling me, because I assume you're busy and I don't want to bother. She says, no. If any of us, when I talk to my siblings, our only complaint with you is you don't call enough, and especially with her because she doesn't live here in town. I said, I hear you. Thank you for telling me. I was so pleased. Because, like when my dad called me, I'm like, oh, what have I done? You know what I mean? This isn't going to be good. I'm sorry, but it just was. Like he didn't just call to shoot the breeze. It was like, what? What have I preached? And no, he never took issue with stuff I preached. Mom did, he didn't. So anyway, we get there, and Mom was fine. And she was fine with Christina. And I said, y'all visit. I'm going to sit on the front porch and work on my outline. Because Michelle starts texting me early on Saturday going, where is that outline? And I'm like, Michelle, you do not have time to wait all day for you. I'm like, I'm sorry, Miss Michelle. I'll try to get it to you. You better see that you do. I'm like, I've got to get these points to Michelle. You have no idea. So I go sit on the front porch. It was kind of nice yesterday. It wasn't as hot as it has been. Well, as soon as I sit down, Christina says, do you mind if we come out and sit with you? And I wanted to go, I kind of do. Because the last time I was out here, I came out and Mom started talking to me about the bride of Christ and how does that fit with gay people. I'm like, really? Are we really doing that? Because it ended with, Mom, Jesus never said anything about gay people. Okay, I think we've established that. Okay, bye-bye now. But anyway, I said, no, it's fine. So I put this outline together while I'm sitting there with my daughter and my mother, and it was fine. We had a nice conversation, and Mom was fine, Christina was fine, everything was fine. At a certain point, I said, I probably need to go because I got to get you back to East Point and then get back here. Hopefully I can get here before Ken gets here. Okay, fine. And Mom was fine with that. Usually it's, like, you're leaving already. We never see you. Why don't you come here? It was like, it was none of that. It was none of the stuff that I'm usually like, go ahead and say it. Like none of that happened. And when he got there last night, I hadn't eaten anything all day. I said, I got to get something to eat. So as I was leaving, I said, Mom, there's your dinner. We're going to go. And Mom said, did you see Christina? And I'm like, And she said, she looked awesome. I'm like, baby, if that's dementia, I'll take it. But I don't think it was. Because you know what? Feelings are important. And if you're in a situation that you don't like and you keep feeling some kind of way about it, your own feeling about it is it's your vibration. And while we're sitting there, Christina was talking about I spent a lot of time with Sophia and Olivia when they were little, and they were, at least in my experience, they were like little adults. I spent a lot of time with them. I never had to. They were just a pleasure to be with. Clementine is very different. When I've been out there, I'm like, I don't know. I finally told her, because I was trying to play with her and she's screaming at me. I'm like, Clementine, nobody screams at Poppy. Poppy don't play that. Because I'm not playing it right and you're yelling at me like, Poppy, I don't do that. I'm not equipped for this. I'm not used, my kids at school. And Christine, I want to show you something. She showed me, made me emotional. Clementine is 5. She's loading the dishwasher beautifully. I said, what's she doing? She said, I just decided to give her some chores to make her feel, instead of me yelling at her. And she's like, it's something simple as that, just making her feel important that she does this. And she said, I realized she's been reflecting me because I've been going through stress. Even she's what I'm going through her dog right now. I can tell boys even. She says, everything's mirroring me. I said, Christina, it's crazy you're saying that because that's exactly what I'm sitting here. This is what I'm talking about. Your circumstance is mirroring you. The Spirit is vibrating over you. And the reason I wanted to point out that the Elohim said, let there be light. Traditionally we've always thought of God's floating around in space, and he said, that's not what that says. It says there were multiple voices that said, let there be light. We say a lot of things. A lot of people speak into our lives. We quote a lot of people. We're influenced by a lot of people. We're surrounded by an Elohim. Gods who speak to us and through us and in us. So what we'll have 3 of these. There'll be 3 parts to this. And I haven't mastered this yet. Do you understand? I'm a work in progress. Because sometimes I fall victim to my own, like, dear Lord, this is hard. It's not like, I'm by her bedside constantly. It's just not being able to go anywhere. Not being able to, like, I'm already thinking, October, I got to go ahead and it's just that. And you say, well, get somebody else. No, it's too hard to explain to somebody else how. It's just easier for me to handle it. But it's also a lot. Especially when, I've been free for years, I'm like, especially because I just found out he's been staying out where he works. They just told him he can't stay out there anymore. He's like, where are you going to go? So I got to come home every night. I'm like, all right. Better for me. Because when I'm by myself, like at the loft, I I was telling you one time, like, if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I want to go get something to eat, like, that's the way I've lived my life, my adult life for these last however many years. And like I told you, I'm in now. I have a curfew. One night last week, I'd taken care of everything, and I thought, it's when I got back from St. Simon's. And there's a way I like to work on my pictures and do, there's just a ritual I have. He sends me his and BJ sends me his, and I work and I put together a blog post. I've been doing it for 11 years. That's my ritual. So I just wanted to do that, and it had been kind of a stressful day because he had just told me he got a tattoo and passed out, and then I took Mom to the dentist. They said she got to have a root canal on Tuesday. I'm like, sweet Jesus in the morning, $2,500, okay. Wow, I wasn't expecting that one, and it was a lot. So Monday night, I thought, Mom, I'm going to go to the store, but I'm going to go get something to eat. So I go to Metro Diner, and I just want to sit there and order a piece of salmon and have a glass of wine. Yes, I had a glass of wine. And I want to work on my pictures and I just need a minute. And then the power techs start coming in. Where are you? Like, I'm eating. Are you with somebody? Are you eating? Like, Mom, I don't have to. I'm 67 years old. I don't have to tell you if I'm eating with somebody. I've still got to go to the store. Go on to bed. It's fine. I thought you were asleep. How long are you going to be at the store? I'm like, oh, Jesus. And it starts triggering you. I'm driving really fast home. Like, my mom said I got to be home. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? Suddenly, it's 1972. It's easy to say, yeah, you try that with those voices you grew up with. And I'm like, I'm in trouble. What the hell am I doing? I'm not in trouble. I'm sitting at Metro having a piece of salmon, taking my own sweet time because it's the quietest I've been today. And she even said, I probably shouldn't ask you if you're with somebody. I said, no, you shouldn't. You have your dinner. Everything's like, it does not, I'll be home when I'm home. I'm only saying that to say, yesterday, just her being chill about, I thought, okay, I changed something. Instead of me automatically feel, because let me tell you something, words are powerful, so are feelings. And when you feel a way about a thing, it creates a reality you have to live with. You don't just have to call those things which you know as they are. You have to feel differently about them. When I went to that Dispenza thing which gave me the idea for doing the meditation weekends, what he said was, when you meditate, think about something that you want, but more importantly, try to get in touch with how you would feel if that manifested. And I thought, like Mark 11:24, believe you receive when you pray. I get it. But what would it feel like to be healthy? What would it feel like to be prosperous? But feelings are important. Even, what I took that picture one day this week, and people go, oh, wow, that's such a good picture of you. I'm going to take a picture of me all the time writing. You know why it was so good? Because I'm thinking, last month I had a bunch of stuff on this house I wasn't prepared for that I had to pay. And I need her Social Security check to come in, but it's not going to come in until Wednesday. I got to pay for this root canal on Tuesday. And of course it's going to work out, but it's just one of those minutes where you're like, I got to pay for all this stuff. Right. And then I remembered, Dad had this line of credit. I wonder if that's still available. I found this piece of paper. It's expiring next month. So I went to the bank. She said, it's fine, but you'll have to bring your mom by because it's her name on there. I said, okay. So I took Mom there, and I said, how much do you need? I told him, I said, I need X amount because I need to do something in her bedroom. I need to put another shower. I mean, it was a nice little chunk of change. And it was so quick. She said, oh, yeah, you can do that. I said, how much is the payment? She said, it's just interest only. It'll be like $45. I'm like, wow. Okay. She says, done. And I looked at my phone and like, oh, there it is. The money's there. There's the money. Thank you, nice Armenian lady at Trust Company. Truist. And that's what, when I took that picture, that's what I was like, because I could have taken it out of savings, but I didn't like, I'm doing enough already. I don't want this to be this difficult. And I'm looking at that picture like, that wasn't good. Because a lot of times when I take a selfie, it's several. Nah, that's not it. And that one I just went, I'm like, damn, I look good. And you know what it was? It was the feeling I had. I felt happy and relieved, and it translated to the picture. I thought, feelings are real. Feelings are real. So you have to, that's why I've quoted on this before, but when James Brown wrote, I feel good, I knew that I would. There's something really powerful, but it's like planning to feel good before the thing happens. Not, I'm going to wait to see what happens to determine how I feel like. I knew I would feel good. That's what I'm talking about. Let me finish this up. Y'all still with me?
Yes.
All right. Abraham Hicks says this. Everything that is the result of vibration. And if you don't like the result, change the vibration. That's all. How do I change a vibration? Think differently. Well, how do I think differently? That's the way I've always thought. Well, start paying attention to how the thoughts feel instead of the content of the thought. Opt out of a the, get into an The spirit is vibrating over the face of the deep. Whatever the Elohim in you says to happen will happen. Next thing. Catherine Kerrigan says this. You are already a VIP, a vibrational interference pattern. Your vibration is as specific and unique to you as your fingerprint. That's why when Christina said, I feel like Clementine's reflected me, and boys, I said, everything's reflecting us. We're calling the shots in our situation. And then finally this, Bashar, the teacher, says, here's the true secret of the law of attraction. You have a core vibrational frequency. It is purely uniquely you. It's a beacon. It's like a lighthouse. It shines. It radiates purely that signature frequency of your unique being. It never stops radiating that light. Spirit is vibrating. Let there be light. That frequency, that energy never stops. Everything that is in alignment with that frequency is doing its utmost to come to you. Everything that is not aligned with that frequency is doing its utmost to get as far away from you as it possibly can. If the things that are aligned with that beacon aren't reaching you, it's not because you're not vibrating at the resonance that you need to attract it. It's because your definitions and beliefs are holding it away. Hold that thought. You know how it feels? I don't know if you are this way, but like when I go get a full tank of gas and I've had my car washed and it's clean, I feel a certain way about driving. Do you know what I mean? It's like I feel prosperous. I feel organized. I feel... Right. And that's why sometimes if you're in a financial something negative, you got to change the way you feel. Go do something. If you can't afford to buy something, go clean up your house. Go rearrange the furniture. Do something to make you feel better about how you feel about your life. Because if you keep feeling bad about the car and the house and the job, all it's doing is spiraling downward. You're what's the word? You're drawing stuff to yourself, but you're also repelling. You're repelling the good stuff. Because you know what? You prosper and are in health as your soul prospers. That's why when you go to the doctor, you need to say, thank God I've got this great medical facility that's going to help me get through this thing. Because if you don't feel that way, you're going to get some bad news. Just walk in there going, thank God I have insurance. Thank God this place is clean. This just everything about it. My doctor I see once a month, he's handsome. I'm so glad Dr. Hoax is handsome. I mean, it helps when he walks in. I'm like, he's He's nice to look at and he's funny. It makes, I need all the help I can get when I go to the doctor. I don't want it to be like, oh, Jesus, what, you know. And I told you, I was scared of his nurse. I had to tell her, I said, Raina, I think you're making my blood pressure go up. I said, why? I said, because I dread you, because you scare me. And the last time I went in, she was like all smiles. And I said, do you remember when I was in here? She said, I remember. She's like, actually, you needed to say that to me. I'm like, so I enjoy it now. But you have to do that. When you sit around going, why doesn't somebody make me feel better about my situation? Can I tell you something? They ain't coming. You're the only one that can make you feel better about your situation. So if you go through the day, nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Well, so from your mouth to God's ear. If the things that are trying to get away from you can't get away from you, it's not because they're not trying. It's because you're holding on to them. So the true secret of the law of attraction is not how to learn to attract what you prefer. It's how to learn to let go of what you don't so that you can let in what is trying to get to you automatically by definition. That's why Wayne Dyer used to say, the universe is not responding to what you want as much as it is to who you are being. That's the true secret, and that's why it's effortless. It's just about letting go and letting in. It's not about having to learn to do something you're not already doing. Let's all stand. Put a comma right there. Thank you, Reggie and Beth, for applauding. Everybody else like, yeah, whatever. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
Did you need to hear it? I need to talk about it. Because we're all stuck in a thing. You know what I mean? If it's traffic, even yesterday when Christina said, Jonah says I shouldn't go, traffic's going to be bad. I said, Christina, it's Atlanta. It's going to be traffic anyway. And so we just went, and you know what? I went a different way than I normally would because I could tell the freeway was backed up. And GPS rerouted me, and it was fine. I was there I thought, actually, I kind of like going this way better. This is actually good to know. But you have to change the way you feel about it. If you got to go to work tomorrow and you got to be at work, you better get happy about it. Yeah. Or you're not going to have a good day. That's right. If you say maybe it'll be good, no, I can tell you right now that maybe ain't going to work. Spirit of God, thank you for vibrating over us and in us. Thank you for the truth. And what needs to be said today and these next 2 weeks, let it have the full impact that it's supposed to have. In your name, amen. Please remain standing. Let's do the outro.
Contributing to Metron is quick and easy. You can give anytime using any smartphone. Text the amount you would like to donate to 404-620-5044. You will then receive a notification that you successfully completed your donation. You may also visit bishopthenow.com and click the support tab to give there as well. When you contribute to Metron, you're also donating to the charity or organization of the month. Thank you for your investment into Metron.
If you have a check, make it to JESM. If you have cash, pay it forward. Metron is a successful, fruitful, prosperous ministry, and you should give to it, not because you're a part of something that's powerful and successful. We are good ground in which to sow, which we have been for some time now, and you are wise to invest in this special entity called Metron. You're going to have a great day. You're going to have a beautiful night's sleep. Good things are going to happen to you this week. Money that's been trying to get to you is going to be released. As soon as there's stuff happening with the moon this week, and it's going to happen, and it's going to be like an eclipse. And when certain thoughts get in line, it's going to release. Somebody's going to get something that's been owed to them since 1987. When that comes in, you've long given up on it. Please let me know, because it's going to be a real blessing for you when it does come in. I speak health to your body, peace to your mind, and wisdom to your words. I love you. I'll see you for part 2 next week.